Hi, everybody. I thought this would be a good time to come on and have a little conversation around something that's relevant right now. If you've been following what I've been saying, you know that I've been talking about this tremendous energy opportunity that we are in right now that can help us to clear out some things and move forward into living the best life that we can possibly live right now, or to be able to live our inspired life. And part of that process means making choices and decisions. So a lot of times when this stuff is happening, there are changes that have to come forward in our life. And a lot of those changes can be around making choices and decisions that we are faced with because of all this stuff coming up and clearing out. And I call these particular kinds of choices and decisions divine decisions, or life-changing decisions. These are decisions that are soul decisions, or they're spiritual decisions. They're decisions that can impact us for several years and potentially for the rest of our lives. And so these kinds of decisions are things that could relate to your life path, what you've been doing, maybe a switch or a major change from what you're doing now to what you feel like now you should be doing, or where you should be going in your life. It can be around relationships, people who are in your life that maybe should not be anymore, or relationships that you have had, that contracts that maybe it's time for those to be released so you can move on and do something else. It can be around what people would call their job. I like to call those assignments. I don't have jobs, I have assignments, but it could be a decision around maybe you've been working in this particular field or doing this particular thing, and now it's time for you to do something else. They can be medical decisions, like major decisions, like should I follow this medical procedure or that medical procedure, or none at all. These are the kinds of things that can come up in life in general, honestly, anytime in your life. I find during periods like this, though, it can be far more intense. And I feel like we're in this very intense period where some of these choices and decisions are coming to the fore. And these particular ones can be really difficult to deal with because they're coming from some very deep things that are trying to clear out. Like some deep things that are trying to clear out are potentially showing us that some of the choices and decisions that we have previously made no longer align with our soul. And that some of those choices and decisions were actually based on deep-seated traumas or unresolved things that are now coming up. And so now there's all this conflict with, even if there was conflict before, maybe there's more internal conflict with, should I keep doing this? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this where I'm supposed to be going? Is this how I'm supposed to be living? And one of the ways that you can tell, whether it's in this particular season or just in life in general, in my experience, one of the ways that you can tell if you are facing this kind of decision is that you have a high level of discontent, dissatisfaction, misery even, like you just don't feel good about where you're at or what's going on in your life. And I'm not going to tell you that because you feel that way, that means you should suddenly make this huge change and do the opposite of what you're doing. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is when you are faced with that kind of thing, in my experience, the best thing that you can do is shut everything out. Everyone, everything. Don't listen to what society is telling you. Don't listen to what the media is telling you, what your friends are telling you, what your relatives are telling you. Don't even listen to what your mind is telling you, because it's probably not giving you the right direction. And everybody else may not be either, because this is your choice. This is your life path. It's not theirs. They can't speak to that for you. In my experience, the best thing for you to do is spend time with yourself, your lowercase self, with you. Go within, get quiet, shut everything else out, and you go within and you get the guidance and the direction that the inner divinity, that your uppercase self, that the self is giving you to do. It knows what you need to do. God, the divine, the universe knows what you need to do, and you will get that answer from the divine, not from anybody else. So go within, spend time with your lowercase self so you can walk in the higher case self. And here's what I have found. Most of the time, we avoid doing this because we're afraid of what the answer is. We're afraid that the answer might be what we don't want. And I will tell you two things about that. Number one, so I want to say there actually are two reasons that this sometimes can happen. And the first reason is because, as I said, we don't want to hear what the answer is. We're afraid of what the answer is going to be. But the other reason that this can happen too is that we're afraid of judgment. We are afraid of what society will say about us. We are afraid of what our social circle will say about us. We are afraid of them judging us for the choice that our divine is telling us to do. And so those are the two reasons that can cause us to avoid going in to figure out what the answer is for this. But in either case, if you will go in and just find out what that answer is and just express that fear and allow it to be able to clear out, you will be given the grace and the wisdom and the strength and the courage, everything you need to be able to do what it is that you needed to do. So I just wanted to put that additive in here. Those are the two reasons. That if you will go within and you will ask what it is that you are supposed to do, when you get that answer, you will be given the peace and the grace and the fortitude and the strength to do exactly what your soul is telling you to do. It has never failed me. Even in the times where I thought it was something that I didn't want to do, I was given the grace to get it done. This is what I call a Gethsemane moment. And again, I will speak to this from a spiritual perspective, not the religious one. If you know the story of Gethsemane, this is in relationship to the teacher, Jesus. Before he was to be crucified, the night before, he spent that night in turmoil over this, because who would want to go through that? He didn't want to go through it. Who would? And eventually he reached the point in that night where he said, you know what? I don't want to do this, but if this is what we got to do, then let's just do this. And he received the grace to be able to get it done so that he could do whatever it is that his life path was having for him to do. And it can happen in a night. It might take a couple of days, might take a couple of weeks before you get the answer, and then can receive the grace. But I always tell people, when you are faced with a divine decision, don't you dare do anything until you have peace. Until you have peace and grace. When you feel that, then you know that that is the right course of action that you are supposed to take, and you will be given everything you need to fulfill it. Now, I will also say this. If you've practiced doing this and you have been able to come into that space of knowing, like the way that it can come to you is in this, just like you just know what you're supposed to do. Like you know that this is what you're supposed to do. And I will say, before I say anything else, if you get that and you know, and you're still like, oh God, this is what I'm supposed to do, I don't want to do this, then it's the best to just say, I don't want to do this, and I need help and grace to get this done if this is what I'm supposed to do, and it will come to you. But if you also do that, and you get that, this is what I'm supposed to do, and you're like, I'll tell you an example in my life, where I was in a situation where that I was feeling discontent, misery, I was out of alignment. All those feelings are a sign that you are out of alignment. The cat just walked in the room. That's why the door just opened. She hears me in here, just so you know. But anyway, I knew I was out of alignment. So I went in and got in touch with myself to find out what the self was telling me to do. And they were like, really, you should go left. And I was like, but I know it's over here on the right. Like I like a lot of what's going on over here on the right. And I know what it is. I don't know what's over here on the left. Like, I don't know what that is. Could be better. Might be. I don't know. But I know what's going on over here. And yeah, it's difficult and there's challenges and but at least I know what it's about. And even though I knew that my soul was telling me that I needed to go left, because I couldn't see past where I was like, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate you telling me I need to go left. I'm going to go ahead and go right. And let me tell you something. The divine is so loving that all I got back was, okay, you can do that. That's fine. We're still here for you. We still love you. It did not end well, okay? It didn't. I think that's the only time I can ever remember going against what my soul was telling me to do. But let me tell you, it did not end well. That is the last time I will ever do that. I just won't do that anymore, okay? I learned, hey, fool me once, okay? So I'm telling you, even if you're skilled at this and you're tempted to do the opposite of what your soul is telling you to do, it is not going to end well for you. You'll be okay. It'll work out. Like, I'm here, worked out, everything's fine, right? But there's all this unnecessary drama and whatever else that has to happen. Don't wait until your soul forces you to do something. You can actually have the grace and the strength and the fortitude to do what you need to do now, even in spite of your fear. It's just recognizing that I'm afraid of what this new direction might mean, and being honest about that and letting the divine allow you to move that out of your energy field so that it can clear up the space for you to walk in all that you are supposed to do and go in the direction that you are supposed to go in, that the divine is telling you that you need to go in. So I just wanted to take a minute today and talk about that, because I know in my life I've had a lot of experience with that, and I've had a lot of experience with how one way works versus the other way. That doesn't always work so well. And I can tell you that if you will just shut everything out, people mean well, but they will misguide you because they don't know what your soul is telling you to do. What it's telling you to do is very likely not what it would tell them to do, because it's not their life path, it is yours. And so you've got to find out the path that you are supposed to walk. And the way that you do that is by going deep within and listening to what the divine self, the inner being, your inner wisdom, your inner guidance, God, the universe, is telling you you are supposed to do. And even if you think that it is something that you don't want to do, or that you're afraid to do, that you can't do, if you will just tap into that and be with it, then you will find that you will be given the grace and the strength and everything you need to fulfill it. You will be given it. I just know that from experience. So if you've not seen my prior video about what I'm talking about as far as the energies that are happening and going on right now, it's the auspicious energy opportunities. I will post the link to that video, and also a link to a good meditation that you can come back to, and some crystals and stones that might help support you during this time. Also, I'll post a link to that video as well, which is a separate link on a meditation. So other than that, if there's anything I can do for you, put something in the comments section. I am me. I'm available to answer questions and help you in as much as I possibly can. And I just want you to know that we're going to get through this. It's intense right now, and you have everything you need. You just have to tap in and receive what has been given us so that we can help us move through this with grace. And not always fun, doesn't always feel good, but we will get through it, and there is grace to help you and support along the way. So may that be an encouragement to you and an assistant to you. May you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is for you. And as always, may you ever live inspired. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye-bye.